and I are going to talk about stuff.
All right.
So, settle in, kids. Get yourself a nice warm cocoa. We're going to talk about some, what Will and I feel might be some of the more underrated game series that are out there. It's not a series, but I love this game to death, and I feel like I'm the only person that plays it. Is Chaos Legion.
So your most underrated series is just one game that you play.
I just said it wasn't a series, but I feel like it's an underrated game.
Okay. Maybe I just got to give it a try again. Maybe
you don't have to.
All these years later, it'll just hit me. No, it's just going to
confuse you even more now. Because you're used to more, like, fluid controls. So you're going to pop this in and be like, God damn it, I can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, when I first came up with this topic, some older series came to mind right away, like the Adventure Island series.
Yeah,
because that was a series that it changed as it went along.
Yeah,
but you could tell it was an Adventure Island game.
Yeah, like the art style was like not, you know, it was very clear when it was an Adventure Island game.
And Adventure Island and Wonder Boy are essentially the same universe, and they actually just recently brought out, I think, a Wonder Boy game or a remake for the Switch that I've heard a lot of good things about. But yeah, that's definitely one that I really enjoyed growing up. I had the first Adventure Island, and I had rented the second one, and through the years I've accumulated all of them. I didn't get the one on the TurboGrafx, but I did download it on the Virtual Console, so yeah. I still have it. But and actually, I didn't even like it as much as I like the other ones. But it definitely is a series that I feel like doesn't get any love when it really should at least get some.
One that I feel doesn't really get a whole lot of praise, Shining Force series. There's like, 3 in the original canon, and then they went off to do like EXO and Neo and all these weird ass ones on the PS2, which I dabbled in them, and they're not as good. Like they broke away from the strategic RPG battle formula, but I loved those growing up, and I felt like I was the only one that ever talked about them.
Honestly, until you had introduced me to them, I never knew much about them.
Yeah.
Like, to me, when I was a kid, RPGs were kind of intimidating to me.
Right.
I remember, like, looking and, like, I had a subscription to Nintendo Power, and I would go through the RPG section and be like, I'm just so used to just walking across the screen jumping on stuff. Like, at that point, like, my first RPG that I really played, well, the first one I tried was Legend of Zelda, but the first one I really actually took the time to play was Crystallis on the NES. And
it's a good game.
It's a really good game. And people go, Zelda clone. Yeah, I get kind of. But it had things that Zelda didn't have at the time, like a level up system. I know Zelda 2 did. Calm down. But it didn't really have like traditional Zelda type stuff to it, because like you didn't really just go to a dungeon. You were in the mountains fighting people, and you were in the desert fighting people, and it was all over the place. But Shining Force games, like when I had a Genesis, I didn't really get very far from the Sonic games and like Taz and Jurassic Park and X-Men and stuff, so I never really ventured out into it. But I played the first one a little bit, and I liked it. I feel like it came at a bad time in my life where I didn't have a lot of time.
Well, no, it sucked up a lot of time.
Because I feel like it's one of those titles where you do have to spend the time, because that's kind of strategy-based RPG in a way, which can be time-consuming.
It's like Final Fantasy Tactics, to give a more modern example, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I love them. I don't know. I still don't even... I think I own most of them. I've owned all the ones that I've played, put it that way. I have one of the actual cartridges and boxes, and then the other one I have on a Dreamcast collection, and then Will got me 3 for Christmas one year. Which I keep getting so far in, and then the memory battery in my Saturn dies, and then I lose everything.
We need to get you one of those.
I know, but they're not easy to find.
Yeah, they're not. One of
the RAM cards.
Yeah.
But then there was one on Sega CD, and that's rarer than gold. And there was one on Game Gear, and that's rare as shit. You'll never find it.
Yeah, I've seen it once.
And it was like over $100, and I'm not paying that for a Game Gear game.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should.
No, I'll find a ROM. Fuck it, I'm not gonna pay that much.
Another series that a lot of people are going to be like, really? And that is the Ken Griffey Jr. baseball games on the Super Nintendo
fantastic.
and N64. I think there was 4 of them altogether. I can't remember all their subtitles. I know the first one was Major League Baseball Nintendo Major League Baseball presented by Ken Griffey Jr. or something, or Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Which was an amazing title for the Super Nintendo.
They were really good baseball games.
It was one of the first baseball games that I felt like it was actually playing a baseball. It wasn't it was arcadey, but like it also kept stats.
Yeah.
It didn't have the Players Association license, so it didn't have the players' names, but it had an editor where you could go in and edit the player names, and it had all the players from the 1993 season. Mm-hmm. So if you had a list of the rosters, which I did,
you could just change it.
I just changed it to what the actual names were, and I actually played through an 162 game season and won the World Series, and like it was really cool. And then they did I think Slugfest or Winning Run, and then they had the games on the Nintendo 64. And there was 2 of them on there too, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're cheap. You can pick them up relatively very cheap.
They're not hard to find.
They're not hard to find, and they're easy pick up and play games. They're not like what baseball games became, which was basically fantasy baseball style stat crunching and matchups and stuff like that. It was basically arcade style baseball. There's a home run derby option to play. You could do all-star games, you could do all that kind of stuff, but those titles, like I know some people that will say that Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball on the Super Nintendo is one of the best baseball games up until the modern era.
Yeah.
Because of how pick up and play and easy it was to play.
Yep, I will agree with that. But yeah, it doesn't really get a whole lot of
because it's a
spotlight.
sports title.
Yeah.
And people go, it's not worth shit. Well, you know what? Like NBA Jam, which people know about, and like NFL Blitz, which people know about, or, some of those types of titles.
That was basically the best you could get for baseball. They didn't really do anything crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... They did a few times.
They did like the fucking Super Slam Masters or whatever. There was like the baseball game with robots or whatever.
Yeah, they did Base Wars and they did...
Base Wars, that's what it was.
And then they did MLB The Bigs a few years ago, which was kind of gimmicky a little bit. But yeah, these games just, they hold up well too. Like I can still plug them in. Yeah, the graphics on the 64 are a little blocky. Still plays good though.
Yeah.
Still plays really well.
I'm at a point I don't give a fuck about graphics anymore.
Yeah.
So another series that I don't think gets enough love is the Splatterhouse series. I mean, every now and then, like, if you look at it from, like, the gaming community that YouTube has, out of, like, every 100,000 people that play Let's Plays on there, there might be, like, 3 people that play a Splatterhouse game. And I do not get it. Like, it's a side-scroller, beat-em-up, that's in basically the horror movie universe, because, let's face it, you're playing Jason Voorhees.
Let's be honest.
Let's be fucking honest here.
Yeah.
You're playing Jason Voorhees. Some of the monsters that are in there are from other horror movies that they just don't say. There's so many monsters in there that were from, like, It, or not It, The Thing, the 80s Thing, because there was a couple of the dog demons, like when it changed the Huskies, and the one where it was toward the end when it like morphed the doctor guy, like the head was sticking out way far and everything. That was a boss in one of the games. I just, for everybody out there that loves horror games so much, I feel like there's not enough people that are playing these. Now, granted, they're not easy to find.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I have the one that I own. Honestly,
I have one too.
Yeah.
I have the original and TurboGrafx.
Yeah, which is probably the most expensive one to have, other than the one that did not get released in the States. That, I guess, but that one was more like, that was a really weird kiddie
stuff. One Paku Graffiti?
Yeah, it was like a real kiddie style weird game.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one in the Turbo Graphics, that's not easy to come across, and I have 3, which that was the one that changed up the formula of the game, where, you know, you had your goal to try and save your girlfriend, but it wasn't necessary. And, like, it was just like, if you were able to do it, it would give you a different ending, but honestly, the time constraint they gave you, it was fucking impossible. You know, they're really good games. I feel like they don't get enough spotlight is because they're not easy games. They're very hard. You don't have a lot of life. Your life bar is not high. They don't really drop a whole lot of replenishment for your life, and the enemies,
if at all.
even if it's a one hit to kill them, there's certain areas you get into where stuff starts flying, and that's impossible for you to hit it. And you just gotta try and like run away from it.
And your character's kind of stiff.
Well, yeah, and he's the biggest goddamn thing on the screen
so
too.
your hitbox is huge.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're difficult.
Yeah, they are.
I'm not gonna lie, but they're just, I don't know. Like, I pop one in no matter what time of the day, like year it is, and I'm like, I'm in Halloween like right away. I love them. Their atmospheres are perfect. I love that they play back to different horror tropes. Like, one room you can go into right off the bat. I thought of this. There's clawed hands that just crawl around, and you got to beat them up. I'm like, there's Freddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I if you can find a Splatterhouse game, or I'm sure it's on some virtual consoles nowadays, pick them, like, try them out, buy one.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. You might find yourself getting pissed, but it's worth it. It's worth a try.
Pick up the one for the 360. It comes with them on it too.
That's true, yeah. And that one's pretty cheap right now.
Yeah.
I got it for Will for Bad Game Gift Exchange for Christmas, so you know what that means. It's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap.
It's cheap.
So I got another one.
Yeah, go for it. We got plenty of time.
On the PlayStation, was a series called Parasite Eve.
Yeah, that didn't... I think what Parasite Eve did, I think it screwed itself. Because the first one was like a combination between RPG and Resident Evil.
Yes.
And then the second one just went straight Resident Evil.
Yes.
And I did not care for the second one at all. And it's the one I own because... Oh, and I think I think I own both of them now. But I remember I had the second one for the longest time, and I was just like, I can't wait to buy the good one.
See, I think it's okay. It is different. You could tell it was different. Like, different people were involved in it. And then there's the people that have played the third game in the series, Third Birthday, on the PSP.
Oh, right.
Which was also very different. But it was just such a cool game. Like, Parasite Eve just itself was a cool game. Some of those cinematics were just unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, they were awesome.
The time.
Yeah.
And I just remember it was some of the earlier PlayStation horror. I had that before Silent Hill. And I just remember the part in the sewers at the very beginning of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And just, like, continuing on. And I just really liked the atmosphere of that series. I mean, yeah, I get where you're going, too, with it, where they kind of dropped some of the RPG elements going forward, and it just kind of became survival. But
well, yeah, and that's the thing. It came off the heels of Final Fantasy VII's success, and it was another Square game, and they're like, a different style of RPG, and that drew people into the first one.
Yeah.
And then the second one comes around, they're like, Resident Evil.
Yeah, it was like they were copying off of what was popular.
Yeah,
it was kind of what it felt like. But yeah, I don't think people don't really talk about them.
No. You know, this reminded me of another one that was on PlayStation, another series. Dino Crisis.
Oh, Dino Crisis. Yes.
That does not get a lot of talk, and I actually think sometimes Dino Crisis is better than the Resident Evil games that were on the PlayStation. Except Resident Evil 2. That one was good. Because that was what everybody wanted in the first game. They're like, can I be in a big city with zombies? Like, can we do that? And they're like, yeah, I guess.
They just kind of gave in.
You don't want to just be in a mansion? But I thought Dino Crisis, it was an awesome idea. It's like you're fighting your way away from dinosaurs. Like, even though most of the time you're just fighting away from just like smaller than life, velociraptors. They're like dog size. Like, I feel like they uploaded like the system and all they had was the wireframes from like the dogs from Resident Evil. They're just like, can we just put a raptor skin on it and just
Just do it.
I don't want to. We spent fucking 3 years on this T-Rex. Can we just? But it had like a different horror element to it, just in the fact that you're like, it's not zombies, and this stuff's gonna move fast. So, and with those controls back then for 3D, it was a goddamn test of patience to fucking fight stuff that fast.
Yeah.
And then when you got to the T-Rex scenes, like, that was just fucking great. But just stick with 1 and 2. 3 on the Xbox, where it's in space.
Yeah.
Just,
I think that might be the one I have, actually.
That's what killed the franchise.
Pretty sure that's the one I have.
Now, I did hear rumors that they were going to bring it back and do it again.
I had heard that, too.
I wouldn't mind having an HD upgrade of the first 2 games. I mean, if you're going to do like an anthology and throw 3 in it, like, okay, fine, whatever. But it's not necessary. You can just keep those ROMs for yourself. You don't need to share them with me. But, yeah, Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
A good game.
That's a good one. That's one you don't really think about very much.
No. And you don't really hear people talking about it much anymore.
No.
Especially in this retro renaissance that we're in.
Yeah, it doesn't really...
Like, I was trying to think of ones on the NES that are underrated that most people don't talk about, but I think almost any game on the NES right now gets a lot of mainstream attention.
Even, I mean, if it's a series, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Like I said, Adventure Island was the only one I could think of that people don't talk about a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like... Yeah. Series, though. I'm like looking around the room. They're like,
The Brave Fencer games.
Well, not many people even know there was a second one.
Yeah.
Not many people even know there was a first one.
Yeah, I know. Because you had Brave Fencer Musashi, and then you had Samurai Legend.
Samurai Legend Musashi, yeah. 2 completely different art styles. And Brave Fencer was a weird, like, pseudo-platformer / RPG type monster. It was fun. I mean, going back playing, like, I fired up the Brave Fencer game, like, a week or so ago. And I'm like, God damn, this looks like shit. Like, back then, if we saw anything in a 3D perspective, we're like, fucking yeah, this is great. And it's just like, oh God, it looks terrible. It is like so polygon, it's not even funny. But it's fun. And, like, it's very Japanese. Like, there's going to be some weird shit in it. I mean, you're playing essentially an 8-year-old samurai, and there's full-grown women hitting on you. And all you wanted to do is go into this inn to get some food, and they're just like, why don't you come on up to my room? And you're like, I'm 8. But, yeah. And that reminded me of another, because we're talking about PlayStation, the Klonoa series.
Oh, yeah.
That is a real gem, and it does not get a lot of praise. And it's actually a really good platformer.
It's gotten expensive, but people don't...
Well, yeah.
It's one of those games where it got expensive, but people don't talk about it. Like, how the hell does that work?
I think that's just the norm now. I think that's what people do. They sit around and they're like, well, what game aren't people talking about? And they just, like, go on a popular poll, and they're like, okay, let's make that game expensive as fuck. I still want to know who are the people that decide these prices. Because it's not... It just feels like one day you just wake up, and you go on eBay, and you're like, oh, I remember this game, and you type it in, and then all of a sudden it's just like, I get fucking $500? What?
I know, some of the titles that I looked at, and I'm just like, that's like over like $200 now. And I'm like, how does that... What?
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea.
That was like when I wanted to watch RoboCop 2 real bad. And then, like, I'm looking on eBay, and I'm just like, why is RoboCop 2, like, $30? Like, this makes no sense. And then I finally, like, found one in a yard sale, bought it for $2, and now it's, like, down in price. It's, like, $5. And I'm like, is it because I found it?
Yeah,
is that
it really is.
Somebody's, like, monitoring the sales of RoboCop 2, and they're like, oh, somebody got a yard sale for $5. We can't sell it for $30 now. Put the price right there. Matt owns it. Get rid of it. It's just, it's weird. I really do not understand the pricing of games. And that's another topic we could sit here and talk about for another hour or so, but...
I got one more. And I don't
Yeah,
know
go
if
for it.
I don't know if it's necessarily not talked about as much as it's not mainstream, and that is No More Heroes.
Yeah. Fantastic series. If Jason was here, he'd be like, yeah, bro.
Yeah, bro, Suda.
Soda. I love him.
Both of the games, even though they're different, like, you can tell that, two, they took a lot more time.
Yeah.
One has so much charm to it that, like, if you played them out of order, it doesn't matter. Like, a lot of people go, well, one didn't have much to it. But what one had was a hell of a lot of charm, and there was nothing like it at the time.
No. No. Although I do not know how they didn't get sued by George Lucas for the fucking... the lightsabers.
The katana beam,
Yeah. I guess that's all you need to do. You call it katana beam.
Yeah.
And you make it look like it's made out of a ultra light, like a UV light filter tube. I don't know. But there was just like the sound effects for the damn sword was the same as the lightsaber. I'm like, how are you not getting sued?
That game was just the characters. My God. The characters.
Travis Touchdown.
Travis Touchdown is one of the more underrated characters in video game history.
Yeah. But the way he's styled, it's like meant for any time era, in all honesty. Because I could see that in the 80s, I could see that in the 90s, like 2000s, it was just like right on that edge of like not being 90s and not being the future yet, you know?
Yeah.
It's like leather jacket, torn jeans, and like that's what everybody's fucking wearing nowadays.
Yeah.
Torn jeans, dirty shirts.
Essentially Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah. He looked like Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, obsessed with Mexican wrestling, anime.
Yeah.
There's a mini game where you pet your cat. It's like,
Yeah.
you're like, what the hell? But it all works.
Yeah. You're going around slaughtering people, and then you ride your ridiculously huge motorcycle back home and pet your cat.
Yeah.
You take a shit, and you go to sleep.
Yep.
And then you wake up and kill somebody the next day.
Yep. I mean, when you have a game that you save by taking a shit.
Yeah.
You'll
You'll never find another game like that on the Nintendo console.
Wow.
Yeah. Good games.
Yeah.
Really good games. Alright, well, I guess we gotta end this. You know, I know you guys love hearing Will and I talk about games, because we got a lot of knowledge about it between the two of us. It's pretty extensive, and I sometimes wonder how the hell I retain all this in my head sometimes. I think it's because my brain's got to that capacity where I try to put important shit in it, and it's like, nah, get that out of there.
Yeah,
you need to remember the blood code for Mortal Kombat. Get that shit out of there.
I can't remember where I put my keys, but I can tell you, like, codes to, like, games from back in the 80s. You know, it's like,
oh man, I need to remember this pin for my card. It's like, no, you need to remember the God code for Doom if you ever play it on PC again. Get that shit out your head.
yeah, no, screw that.
IDDQD? Yeah, you meant... What, you want old guns? IDKFA? Get that fucking pin out your head.
Yeah.
It's sad sometimes. Oh, man. But hey, you will look... You do have Will and I talking about the Dreamcast to look forward to very soon. We will get on that for you guys. Ever since I did the poll, I've been asked a couple of times, when is this coming out? So we are going to get it done.
We'll get it done.
We'll get it out there. So until next time, guys, please stop by Ripped Apparel, RIPT, apparel.com. Use code Grindcast in all caps at checkout, and you'll get 10% off your order of anything that they have at their store. They have collections of exclusive t-shirts that they have every day for 24 hours. There's 3 new t-shirt designs that you can choose from. Tote bags, muscle shirts, stuff for your kids. You name it, they got it.
They got everything.
Yeah, they got coasters, they were doing vinyls and comic book covers and all this kind of stuff. You name it, they got it. Go check them out. You'll support them, you'll support the show, which is more important.
It's a lot of support.
We need support. We do. We need help. I gotta eat Chipotle a lot. All right, everybody. Well, until next time, thank you so much for listening and for watching. We'll catch you in the next episode.